You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. Today's guest is Paige, and he is going to discuss tips for finding your purpose, developing leadership teams, and of course, his robust morning routine with us. Tim is a professional voice actor. He is the go-to guy for brands such as the CW, Bank of America, NBC, the voice of Starbucks, the UFC, Comcast, to name a few. He is well known, and once you hear his voice, you will see why. Tim loves his job. He loves what he does, whether it's promo for a new TV series, narrating an audiobook, or producing thousands and thousands of intros for podcasts. He is the man. Tim, welcome to the show, and I want to let everyone know that you actually are the man who produced my intro for this podcast and the outro as well, and it is fantastic, and I thank you for doing such an awesome job. So welcome into the show, and we'll get right to it. Let's talk about your business. How did you become a voice actor?
So I used to have a podcast a while back, and it was called The Awesome Podcast. It was so far from awesome. It was ridiculous, but I was doing that show, and it was about, kind of living your best life and that kind of thing, because I was in the middle of starting businesses and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I had created an intro for the podcast, and I think a lot of the intros were the same or similar for all the podcasts around at that time. And I wanted to do something different. So I found this really great, theatrical, dramatic music. And I made this horrible intro that was like a movie trailer. It was like, in a world of entrepreneurs trying to make it happen, one man will save the day. And it was so bad. I'm not a deep voice trailer guy. So I had done that, and a few people started coming to me and saying, hey, will you make me a podcast intro? And I started doing that, and more people came to me. And eventually I did the intro for Entrepreneur on Fire. John Lee Dumas and I had become good friends at that point, and he asked me to do it. And that really springboarded me doing my intros. And at one point I thought, there's got to be more to this, because I really love doing this, but I'd love to do more. And I was watching TV with my wife, and we love The Walking Dead on AMC. And so it came on. And the commercials for AMC, they're called promos. The commercials for The Walking Dead had this guy, Rick Wasserman, and he would go, coming up next on AMC's The Walking Dead. And I would walk around the house doing that. And one day I was like, you know what, that guy, that's his job. And I wonder how I can get that job. So I searched the voice of AMC. I found his name, Rick Wasserman. I found his email address, and I emailed him and said, hey, Rick, I want to do what you do. Can you tell me how? And to his credit, he got on the phone with me. He was so gracious. He explained to me the business. And ever since then, it's been kind of a whirlwind of chaos. And now I am a full-time voice actor.
I love that story. You have such a knack for it. Tell us, what are some steps that others can take to find and pursue their passion like you did?
I think that it's hard to find your passion in terms of what you want to do for a career. For a very long time, I thought that the thing I wanted to do for a career was music. I was in a band, with another guest that you had, Liam DeCosmo, my partner in my business, MakeMyIntro.com. And I had always thought, since I was a little kid, I always thought I wanted to be a professional musician. I wanted to tour and do that professionally for my entire life. And I think for me, one of the things that happened was when it became a business, when it became something that I had to do to pay the bills to survive, it took away some of the joy. It took away some of the freedom to write the kind of music I wanted and play the kind of music I wanted. And it didn't take it all away. I had a blast, don't get me wrong. But I think that's a common thing. A lot of people try to make a career out of the thing they love, and it ends up making them not love that thing so much anymore, or taking away what they loved about it in the first place. So I guess, what steps can you take to find your passion? I think it's just trying things. I just tried stuff, with voiceover. This wasn't a dream I had since I was a kid. It was something as an adult that I kind of stumbled into because I tried something different. I had the podcast and I thought maybe podcasting was the thing I wanted to do. And so I did that silly intro, and that's what springboarded everything. So I think trying things and being willing to be a little silly and screw up and make mistakes can kind of help you do that.
I think you're absolutely right. There is something to be said about trying new things and not being afraid to fail and making some mistakes along the way. There is a great book by Cal Newport called So Good They Can't Ignore You, and it shared some insight around the myth to follow your passion, and he debunks the whole idea of do what you love. And instead, Cal said, don't do what you love, but learn to love what you do. I think what he means is whether you love your work or not is mostly based on expertise and experience. How much experience do you have to actually add value? And instead of asking ourselves, what do we want? We should be really asking, how can I add value to my current job, to my current role, to the people around me? Tim, I digress. Let's talk about how we got connected. You and I actually met through JLD from Entrepreneurs on Fire. We got connected so you can help me with my amazing intro. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, why did you start Make My Intro?
So MakeMyIntro.com is my production company where we produce podcast intros and outros. I kind of told the story of why I started that. People just were coming to me asking me to do that. And I know that's like, oh, aren't you lucky? And yeah, absolutely. I was lucky. I happened to be kind of in the right place at the right time. I had spent years cultivating relationships with other podcasters. And it was really just to meet a need that was out there. People wanted podcast intros, but they didn't want the really highly produced, with sound effects and voice effects and all this kind of stuff. They wanted something that just sounded fun and real and connected without being kind of the old school radio sound. And that's what I did.
Right. That's interesting. You feel the need. So tell us, what are some of the other services you provide and what are the benefits?
So it's interesting. As a voice actor, I do a lot. We came together because of MakeMyIntro.com and John and Kate introducing us. But that is one thing I do. I create podcast intros and outros. We write the script. We find the music. We help you pick the voice actor because we have a big roster of amazing voice actors. But I myself am a voice actor and actually spend more time doing voice acting than producing podcast intros, although we do a lot of that as well. So I'm an audiobook narrator. That's a big one. I narrate a lot of audiobooks. I'm working on some for Marvel right now. I'm working on one for Harper. Just a lot of publishers and a lot of independent authors as well. So I do that. And one of the things that's a little bit unique about me is that I'm a little younger. I have a little bit of a younger sound, a little more conversational than some audiobook narrators. So that's kind of a thing that I do. I also, I do a lot of TV promo, commercials, explainer videos, that kind of thing. So I kind of run the gamut when it comes to voiceover services.
You are the man. Let's talk a little bit about your team. Who do you work with and how do you develop your leadership team?
My team are pretty much all my best friends. Liam DeCosmo is my project manager, and he's been my best friend for almost 20 years. My wife is my book prepper, so she goes through the books before I ever get a chance to read them and kind of gives me any notes, things that I should know. Brittany DeCosmo, Liam's wife, who is also one of my best friends, is my proofer and editor. So my team are all the people I love most in life, and I think with them, it's just a matter of being really open in communication. And if there's something I think is going wrong, I tell them right up front. And that's what they want. They want to know, hey, what can we do better? Because we all flourish if we work best together.
And I agree 100%. Tim, I am dying to know, what is your robust morning routine? What are some of the habits you do on a daily basis to get up, dress up, and show up to run your production company with the people you love the most in the world?
So I do have a really specific morning routine. For one, I'm a dad, and my wife and I have 2 young boys. They're, at the time of this recording, 5 and 2. And so mornings in this house are really chaotic. In fact, as I'm recording this, I have the monitor sitting next to me, waiting for them to wake up at any moment. So I take the mornings with the boys. My wife sleeps in just a little bit because then when I start my work day, she's with the kids. She's a stay-at-home mom. And so the first thing I do is I get up, I make my coffee, I make their breakfast, I consume some content. Usually it's something intellectually stimulating to get my brain going for the day. Then I get them out of bed. I feed them. I hang with them a little bit. We play around. And once my wife wakes up, I head straight to the gym. I am a big fan of fitness. If I don't work out in the morning, it's a different day than if I do. And I primarily do weightlifting. I don't do a lot of cardio, but my weightlifting circuits are really close together, so there's not a lot of break between them. And I find that doing that, one, gives me an outlet. So any kind of emotional stuff that I'm hanging on to is easy for me to let out in the gym. Two, obviously I feel great afterwards. I like the direction that my health is going. And then three, it's a great time to listen to audiobooks for me. Sometimes I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Sometimes it's podcasts and other times it's music, but a great way to consume content, have that time for myself that's not distracted, that I don't feel like I should be working or that I'm missing something, because I can focus on the stuff that I want to learn or I want to get better at, or entertainment or whatever. It's just time for me, and it really helps me clear my head. And then once I'm done, I come home, I have a big, huge meal, and then I get to work, and I love it.
There you have it, morning enthusiast. Tim truly embodies the notion that no one stumbles upon success. He is a family man. He works out daily, not just his body, but his mind, by consuming content that mentally stimulates him. He also feeds his mind by listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and that's simply to focus on the things he wants to learn and get better so he can continue to grow as a person and as a business owner. Tim, thank you for sharing. Go ahead and tell us, how can our listeners connect with you?
Sure. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you have a podcast and you would like an intro or outro, it's MakeMyIntro.com. That's MakeMyIntro.com. If you are an author or happen to be a publisher and would like an audiobook narrator, you can go to narratedbytimpage.com, and it's Paige. And if you have need for any other voiceover services, whether you need an explainer video or, a commercial or promo or whatever it is, you can go to thevoiceoftimpage.com. And of course, I'm on all the socials and stuff. So Twitter is @TimThePage and Instagram is @thevoiceoftimpage. But I'd love to chat with you and see how I can help.
All right, y'all. So many nuggets to chew on from today's episode. Number one, finding your passion and the myth behind it, and how you gotta get the skills and experience you need to add value wherever you are at today. Start where you are. Number two, we discuss working with people you love and people that make you better as a person. And last but not least, don't forget to feed your mind. If you head over to bestmorningroutineever.com and type in Tim's name in the search bar, his show notes will pop up with everything we talked about today, including his website link to find out more about Tim the Page and connect with him. All right, y'all. That's it for today's show. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time.